As ever, David and I said the same thing over and over and over again. It's moving really, really fast. It's moving beyond anybody's comprehension of how things are happening. So, firstly, exponentialists, we talk about in markets, we're just in the start of the banana zone. That works for crypto, it works for technology. So, overall, the portfolio is in a kind of set it and forget it phase where it should start to really perform well. We'll see how that plays out over the next 2-3 months. I think it should be a very strong period because liquidity is on tap. The Chinese are printing money, and the central banks are cutting rates. Most of them should join in. So we should getting exactly the picture that we've been looking for, that the Everything Code has been giving us. For those of you who are pro macro investors, you'll know everything about the Everything Code.
So Raoul Pal is basically saying that we are almost there. We are right there in the beginning phases of the banana zone. And I want you guys to understand that, over the course of the next couple weeks and even just 2 months from now, this entire space is going to look completely different. And in this video, we are going to be outlining why. So welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. Let's take a quick look at something that I posted on X just the other day. And, as we wait for this, the banana zone, right? Which, by the way, for those that actually don't understand what the banana zone is, this is basically it, right? So for the previous cycles going all the way back to 2011, 2012, 2014, 2016, 2019, 2020, and even now, you've had this point in time where there's this boring zone right before the banana zone. Now, this is typically one of the most painful areas during the cycle as well. So you'll start to see a lot of capitulation. You'll start to see altcoins getting, just the whole, like the life out of altcoins is just getting choked out. And that's basically where we are at right now. But after the fact, right, everything is worth it. All the pain, all the suffering that you went through is all worth it, and it pays off during the banana zone. Now, I've outlined the current phase that we are in right now in the space, and I said altcoins are essentially in a Bitcoin prison until we have confirmation of Bitcoin dominance finally being topped. For the last 7 months, we have watched altcoins have the life squeezed out of them as we watched Bitcoin create lower highs and lower lows. And this is the problem, right? A lot of people have been saying like, oh, that's it. Alt season's around the corner. This month's going to be bullish. This week's going to be bullish. But the problem is that we really haven't been bullish since going all the way back to around March. Now, the good news, and I even said this recently from September 6th, Bitcoin has been making short-term higher highs and higher lows. What does this mean? It means that Bitcoin is technically in a bullish structure, but we have yet to take out the macro high from March. This will be the signal of a much larger and much more violent move, solidifying the final wave of the cycle beginning, aka the banana zone. As we are all waiting for Bitcoin to finally break that high, Bitcoin dominance will most likely continue to range. I also believe that the next significant push to 70K plus will clear the March high and confirm Bitcoin dominance top 2. One crucial thing to remember is how long alt season lasts once we have clear confirmation. Typical time frame is about 3 to 6 months. Every altcoin is different. Some will run longer, some will lag, and some will top earlier than most. The best way to avoid hodling profits back to square one or lower is simply by being self-aware of what profits can do for your everyday life. If you have life-changing wealth in front of you, don't let the thought process of a potential higher move in the market keep you from changing your life. Don't take screenshots, take profits when that time comes. For now, we wait until Bitcoin can finally set this market free and for Ethereum and altcoins to take the lead. And yes, that's why as we really look at the area that we are in right now, we are in the boring zone. Altcoins are currently reversing and ending the longest bear market in history. This means it's time for the banana zone. And depending on how long it will take with liquidity, this banana zone is going to be epic. And it is, right? A lot of people are sitting there on the fence saying like, is this ever going to begin? Are we ever going to see alt season? Are we ever going to see Bitcoin dominance sell off? even over here, we have from Zero Ica, great friend of mine, by the way. Over the past year, we've witnessed Bitcoin's dominance steadily climb, and the most anticipated question is undoubtedly, will it ever stop rising leading to this alt season? While this is a logical question, it's not the most important one. The key question to ask is, what is the area to keep an eye on to secure a solid take profit level and avoid round tripping all the gains? The 42 to 43% range. And let me explain why. If we go back to June of 2023, I pointed out how Bitcoin dominance had broken above the swing high at 48.9%, confirmed by a weekly close, and was poised to reach my final target of 56 to 58%. The target has been hit, and while I could still see a spike upwards, I believe the reversal is near ushering the much talked about alt season in its most primitive form, of course. So why 42 to 43%? Because it corresponds to the weekly order block that triggered the impulse, which then broke the range to the upside, and this is highly significant for the overall structure and price action. But that's not the only reason. We also have the weekly imbalance created by the impulse of March 13th, 2023, which will be filled 99.9% of the time as per classic AMT. Additionally, if we apply Fibonacci to look for confluence with this level, we could find the 0.618, the golden level, right? And the 705 levels, which are among the most important in Fibonacci retracement and thus add more spice to the theory. Don't forget the overall dilution and diminishing returns that play a key role and sustain this thesis. I already know that when we hit those levels, the majority will be euphoric with to the moon tattooed in their minds and maybe even on their skin. But if you're rational and smart, you'll use that area to say adios with a smile. Otherwise, I'm almost certain that with what's left in your bags, you'll be buying tissues to wipe away the tears. And yes, listen, as we look at Bitcoin dominance, I don't believe that this has much left in it. I mean, this is the overall chart for it. After having such a significant move to the upside, hitting the overall trend lines, waiting for this thing to slow down and finally take that big leap, we are getting so close to this. I honestly don't think that we have 2 months left until this actually starts to sell off. I would argue that by the end of November, this should already be close to selling off. I have an area here of interest, which is around 60.5% to about 63.3%. That's the level of interest that I have if we are going to see an impulse and move to this area where we're going to kind of trade a little bit and then sell off, right? But I don't think that we go that high. I think that we're close to the top here on Bitcoin dominance. The overall moves on this chart are starting to slow and they're starting to become less impulsive. Meaning if we actually look back at this chart going all the way back to November of 2022, okay, here we have January 9th and January 16th. These are 2 weekly candles. This was a very significant move on this chart because if you actually look at this overall move is like almost a 9% move. And the total here is about 9.74%. Again, even if we go to March of last year, okay, here we have a very significant move in the market, over 10%. There's a lot of these, right? We could see one here. We could see this entire move here. Some of these moves are very large on Bitcoin dominance. And in fact, we've already had roughly 4 of them. You could argue, a little bit in here, like 5, maybe even 6, but they're getting shallow every single time. They're getting more and more shallow every single time. So what does that tell you? It's telling you that the overall moves here are getting weaker on Bitcoin dominance. Momentum is slowing down. So all we have to wait for is the momentum to die down, ultimately retest the lower trend, and finally break through it. And this is clear even if we go all the way back to 2020 as well, right? Where we have a trend on the overall chart forming here, and then we finally get that massive impulsive move through it, causing a very significant sell-off in the market on Bitcoin dominance, leading to alt season officially. right? And this was at the end of January after it already topped out. So that's what we're basically waiting for over here as well, for this to actually finally sell off. Now, this is an expanded overall trend and technically an uptrend that we're just waiting for this thing to break through. But this is definitely going to be a violent alt season once this does start to sell off because of the liquidity conditions, because of the market conditions, and the overall view for this, right, is that we have a ton of catalyst in the market right now to support this, right? We have the US election and the regulatory progress, rate cuts with economic stimulus, re-accelerating ETF flows, and then we also have killer apps and exciting new launches. All of this is supporting a much larger move in the market, specifically US elections, right? I think after elections, that's why I'm saying like the end of November, maybe even early December is going to be such a big focus for crypto. And then, of course, yes, we have the rate cuts and economic stimulus. By the way, China has been unleashing a massive amount of liquidity, but towards the end of the year, we also have the looming government shutdown and the debt ceiling raise, which these things are obviously going to be, the government shutdown is going to be avoided, and we're going to raise the debt ceiling and, pump even more money into the economy, trying to prop it up as long as we can before the inevitable crash, which is why we definitely need to start taking profits when life-changing wealth is in front of us. So just be aware of that, okay? And last but not least, I want to wrap this up with this video clip here from Raoul Pal as well, to really just have you guys prepare for the macro as well around crypto, because, yes, this is the short-term move. I also want you guys to prepare for the long-term as well. So check it out.
The macro, well, that doesn't change a lot. We wait over time for the business cycle to develop to look for the great opportunities. And we're in that macro summer transitioning to macro fall that will take us for the next 18 months. So there's pretty much nothing to do for the time being. Let the bets play out, let the banana zone begin. But in the technology side, there is literally a shit ton going on. There is more things going on than any of us can comprehend. And this is what I've talked about at the exponential age. I've said we've only got 6 years, I think, to kind of sort our shit out, make as much money as we can before the world changes so much that we can't truly even understand it anymore. We don't even know what business models apply, what work we do. Now, I'm not saying in 6 years' time, everything has changed. What I'm saying is in 6 years' time, things will be changing so fast that it'll really create an uncertainty. I think it's even now hard to even build businesses. We've kind of got financial markets to ourselves for the time being, but before long, we have to share it with AGI. And the opportunity set changes yet again, and we figure out new ways of doing things. You see, I think a lot about AI. I think a lot about AI and what it means. Robotics. We've just seen the whole Tesla event and where robotics are going. Now, again, Elon may have used people behind the scenes controlling the robots, but the point is to set your imagination what the world is going to be like. Now, it shouldn't have taken your attention away that essentially the guides to the theme park of that Tesla were the Optimus robots, the bar people, the Optimus robots. And that tells us the scale of disruption that is coming. And then there was the robots that drive you around, the robots that deliver you from A to B. And if you walk around in the streets around you, you'll see that in any city, most of the people in a car are getting paid to drive you there, whether it's a taxi driver, a bus driver, a delivery driver, a truck driver. All of these people are seeing their future change in front of their eyes. The tools that we use are changing so fast, it's hard for us to keep up with it.
And, this is 100% happening, right? We are in a technological revolution. And although, yes, it's great to think in cycles, we also have to prepare ourselves for the inevitable future. Technology is not slowing down. It's only accelerating. And after this cycle, the best thing to do is after we take some profits, make sure that we are planting our seeds in this space once we witness the largest bear cycle in crypto history. Because after this, I do believe that we are headed towards a financial collapse. Keeping a percentage allocated in this space is not a bad idea, but also making sure that we have money on the sidelines to reinvest during the bear market is so crucial. So just make sure that you guys are aware of, how this space is going to react in the short term, but also even in the long term as well. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because of more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.